recently I've noticed that there's been a clear epidemic of illiteracy and bad faith arguments among anime fans, especially fans of series with the focus on battles like Battle Shonen and things like that, with LARPers who pretend like they're reading, or people who just lack reading comprehension in general, that will latch on to the first interpretation they think of, or a lot of times someone else thought of for them, maybe their favorite content creator or something like that, instead of actually engaging with the story themselves. And of course, not everybody is like that, and not everybody is, I'm not gonna say capable, but not everyone is. It's not easy to have like a high level of comprehension, but some people don't make the bare minimum effort. What's become especially obvious to me is that people have started to become a little too used to making arguments in bad faith. Like people who pretend like they gave the series a fair shot but went into it with a negative bias that like obviously influenced how they viewed everything in the series, or like exaggerated opinions by people who don't like the series, which usually happens to series that are like increasingly popular, and others that flock to that same opinion just because they also do not like the series and have a problem with it. Opinions like these are fine in a vacuum, like when it's just one person who has these type of exaggerated opinions, but it becomes a problem when it becomes a super popular LARPer opinion to have, like Deku being a crybaby, JJK and Dragon Ball have no story, or Dragon Ball it just screams in high speed punches. Bleach falls off after Soul Society, or Naruto should have ended with pain, and things like that. And naturally, this does include the subject of this video, Solo Leveling, which did explode in popularity after its anime adaptation and has seen waves of people that are like, I'm not gonna say super upset because I don't think these people actually really care, but people that have a issue with people enjoying something that they don't think is good, or something that they even will say, I think this is decent, but this isn't good, so you can't say it's good if I think it's just decent, which does not make any sense to me. These people are like the fun police that don't like when other people find meaning, enjoyment, or value from something they don't, and they cannot stand if you actually think that it's good. If you don't see yourself as like a pig munching on slop, then you're just brain dead in comparison to their like big brain genius. And Solo Leveling is one of the most extreme examples of this that I've ever seen. And it's probably worse than what happened to SAO, partly due to its like quick rise from popular manhwa to maybe semi mainstream anime. And in this video, I'll be looking into a lot of comments I've seen on videos that dissect how bad Solo Leveling is, and seeing if the arguments that are given actually hold up when you're actually looking at the content that's in the series. And to clarify, I don't think that Solo Leveling is perfect at all. It's not in my top 10 or anything, and I have my own problems with it, but it becomes an issue when the problems that are being discussed is not being made in bad faith and do not really work well within the narrative. It's like you have to think of the narrative and what's actually happening when you are making arguments and about why a series is, especially if you're saying a series is like terrible, it's just trash. You really have to have like an understanding of the trash to say that it's trash. And as you'll see in this video, a lot of times these arguments are not fair, and sometimes you'll wonder if these people even watch the series. Before we get into it, I do want to say it's fine to not like any series. You don't have to like anything. You can have your opinion no matter what it is. But I just wanted to talk about some of the unjustified slander that Solo Leveling receives on a daily basis, because Solo Leveling is not nearly as bad as some people pretend it is. The first comment, we have a pretty exaggerated one already. Firstly, I'm sure nobody actually said this, and the premise of the story itself is that Jinwoo is not only weak, but practically the weakest hunter of all mankind. So the Super Saiyan part doesn't even make sense. But not only that, I can't even recall Jinwoo signing an autograph throughout the entire manhwa, much less the anime. Aside from the Eldritch Abomination part, which would make Soul Leveling a completely different story, the idea of S-class and above hunters actually having to be appeased and pointed at threats is already in the anime with Hwang Dong-soo, but it gets even more focus in the manhwa content after season 2. That idea is explored a lot. So I'll just assume this person is anime only, but even then, this happens in season 2 with Hwang Dong-soo when he appears at the in Korea to find Jinwoo. I do like this comment a bit more than the others since I can be a bit confident that this person has at least seen the show a little bit. But this isn't a side quest. This is just part of the Demon Castle arc. I'm not sure why the commenter worded it like that, but this criticism is strange to me because we do learn a bit more about the demons later on since the entire area is a recreation by the system. And the topic of Jinnu or anyone else only being taken seriously due to strength comes up a lot even just in the anime and is everywhere within the subtext of everything Jinnu does since we literally see the difference in how he's treated before and after his S rank reveal. But this comment is way less vague than the other one, so I do give it some props for that. This is a continuation of the last comment, and the criticism is sort of similar. But does the idea of demons confined to the castle area created by the system trying to kill each other really need to be explored at this point? It's really not that important in the grand scheme of things, but everything else this person talks about is explored. Barca, Kargalgan, and Esso's dialogue support the idea that they aren't simply video game enemies for Geno to defeat. So obviously this idea is going to be explored more after the Demon Castle arc. To think otherwise and say Geno just kills everything when he tries to interrogate them anytime he can in the anime and later on in the manga is exactly the type of bad faith argument I spoke about earlier. Why would an anime only who only knows what's happened in the anime pretend like they know everything that's going to happen and what's not going to happen for no reason? I might discuss this further, but Jinnu does not become a completely different person, especially within the anime content, like season 1 and season 2. Being confident and having a cooler appearance does not make you a completely different person. I don't understand how this keeps coming up within the criticisms. The system is his way to accomplish all of his goals. So why would his main goal be to get rid of it? This is just a ridiculous thing to say, especially at this part of the story. If he wants to cure his mom's sickness and the system is allowing him to do that, why would his main goal be to break free of the system? It just doesn't make any sense. Like there was no thought put into that opinion, but we all probably knew that there was no thought put into that. And here we have another comment that talks about Solo Leveling having the potential to do something it already did and then slandering the story using that. Jinu doesn't look down on people simply for being weaker. His best friend Jinho, whom he accepts as a brother and pulls alongside him the entire story, gets completely outclassed by him from the moment they meet, yet he never mocks him while being serious and has a clear attachment to him. He also carries Essil to the highest floor in the Demon Castle to fight Baron simply because she asked when she had no business being in that fight. Not even to talk about all the other characters he treats respectfully, regardless of their power, including the S ranks of Japan and Korea. This commenter claims he looks down on for being weak. Jinu doesn't become cold and isolated, especially during the anime. He has more bonds now than he ever did when he was in E rank. You could you could argue that he had two friends, maybe, when he was at E rank. He has way more now. This person says that they haven't watched it and don't plan to, so their opinion is auto rejected anyway, even though they are wrong. And this idea of Jinu being a shy guy at the beginning because he walks around nervous is completely ridiculous because if you took a second to think about it a little bit, he's not a shy guy at all. That's why he doesn't act like that later. He's just ashamed of his weakness and is around people who remind him of his weakness no matter where he looks. So of course he's going to look nervous. He's not shy, he's ashamed of himself. He alters his build all the time. And not only does he alter his build, he alters his strategies to counter the enemy all the time. It's literally the only reason he beat Igris, and I guess you can say Barca too, technically. But he does it in basically all his fights. He takes advantage of the enemy's weakness in almost every fight he's in. I don't know where this myth came from that Solo Leveling fans didn't like that moment when he cried over his mother. I've never seen anyone say this, much less a Solo Leveling fan, so I don't know where this came from at all. Your eyes were rolling on the first episode and you didn't even finish it, and we're supposed to believe you watched this with an open mind and weren't just looking to hate. You, this is just ridiculous. Like, what do you even want people to say to something like that? What people need to understand is just because you don't think it's more than hype moments in aura does not mean that that's true. Simple fun doesn't mean surface level slop, and you don't need to disapprove of random people on the internet just because they like something more than you do. And not only that, but hype moments in aura is not just hype moments in aura. You have to be able to write to convey hype moments in aura correctly. That's why there are bad series that try to do hype moments in aura but can't do it because they're not good at writing it. You have to be good at writing to convey emotion within the reader no matter what that emotion is. Jinnu is quite literally shown working a normal job before awakening and then telling his sister that I can afford mom's treatment after qualifying as a hunter. So obviously you just didn't watch the show to hold this opinion. Jinnu didn't need better skills, he needed better equipment, which he can't afford, which is shoved in your face in episode 1. So this person obviously did not watch the show and just saw some clips on Twitter or something. And now I want to compare this with one or two positive comments on the Solo Leveling video. See how these are specific, clear, and thoughtful, and you can tell that these guys watched the series. And this idea of Jinnu being portrayed as a monster within the fight against the Ant King is actually something that I thought myself, because I just couldn't point my finger on exactly what it was because I did feel that how he was presented, especially during the end of the fight when it's in the Ant King's perspective, reminded me of something, and it was the statue within the double dungeon that I was thinking of, which foreshadows the double dungeon arc that's up to come. Solo Leveling is not a series that's difficult to understand by any means. Jinnu is not a character that's hard to understand by any means. He's a kind, selfless man who had his self-confidence beaten out of him because of his power and situation. He was mocked, betrayed, and let down by those who looked down on him. And given a second chance at life, he decides that he'll be different this time. He'll do something different because kindness won't save him, as he says. His trauma guides him throughout season 1 and 2. He has to kill to survive, and his humanity suffers as he tries to fight and regain his tethers to his humanity throughout that journey. He makes many steps in the right and wrong direction because at the end of the day, Solo Leveling takes place in a world where power is the most important factor. If you don't have any power, there's nothing you can do at the end of the day. You can be as kind as you want, you can be as clever as you want. At the end of the day, if you don't have any strength, when there's somebody that actually has that strength, there is nothing you can do. And Jinnu is the only one who truly understands this. And before the system asks him to accept, he says that if he had a second chance, he would, and then he was cut off, indicating that he regretted how he lived before and how he saved everyone in the double dungeon at the cost of himself. But with his strength, the loss of humanity, the trials and the tribulations, surely if he's some kind of aura farming cold monster, surely his true nature will show
and he won't be kind, he won't save people, he'll just R farm, let people die, he'll do things that only benefit him. He won't be selfless anymore. But of course, if you watch the series, you would know this is not true at all. He doesn't command fear from the other hunters. He doesn't do anything like that, not on purpose anyway. He actually inspires them to become stronger and inspires them to follow after him in his footsteps because that is the kind of man he is. He is not a cold, ruthless R farmer. At the end of the day, he is still the E rank Jinnu still is within him, no matter how hard he tries to pretend that that isn't true, which is which is what we learn in season one at I think in the final episode when he's having that internal struggle. That part of him can never disappear and it won't ever disappear, and that is not a bad thing because that is the core of his character. Season 2 ends with Jinwoo accepting and understanding the responsibility that comes with being the strongest hunter in Korea, but we know Byung-gu, the S-rank killer, would never have died if Jinwoo went to the raid, and Jinwoo knows that, and he has taken his responsibilities, and that is what leads us into the next arcs up to come. And with that knowledge, he has essentially left the sort of prologue area of solo leveling, if you want to think of it in a game sense. Everything that he learned was for that moment of understanding when he now knows exactly what he has to do. He doesn't have, well, not that he doesn't have any more lessons to learn, but he's learned enough lessons to essentially complete the prologue. Jinwoo as a character and Solo Leveling as a series are not perfect by any means, but they were made with love and care, and the constant attempts to pretend otherwise just because it won Anime of the Year in a dumb award show, or you just don't like that Solo Leveling is popular, isn't fair to anyone. There was thought put into every story that you can think of. There was care put into it. It's not slop just because you don't like it, and you don't have to pretend that it's terrible to say that you don't like it. But that's all I really wanted to convey in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and if let me know in the comments if you'd like more videos, whether that's about Solo Leveling or any other series. Peace.